Every week, the Xfinity editors pick the TV show, movie, or special event they are most excited about right now. This week, we kick things off with our very own Xfinity TV editor, Sammy. Sammy, what are you looking forward to?
All right, my pick for this week is the new Apple TV Plus series, Lessons in Chemistry, which premieres this Friday, October 13th. Let's take a look at a trailer.
Boom, bam, I can sing.
May I join you?
I can
You may.
jam. Wham,
You're one of the smartest people in this lab.
boom, bam, I'm a killer.
You hungry, little fella?
Yes, I am. If I can do it, you can too.
Welcome, viewers. My name is Elizabeth Zott, and this is Supper at 6.
So jazzy. I love it. All right. Lessons in Chemistry, as you could see in the trailer, is based on the novel by Bonnie Garmis, which only came out last April, by the way. So they really turned this one around quick. But it stars and is executive produced by Brie Larson. It takes place in the early 1950s and follows the character Elizabeth Zott, who is a scientist who, because of the nature of the 50s, is fired from her job as a scientist because she gets pregnant, and you can't be a mother and a scientist at the same time. So she takes a job hosting a cooking show on TV, but kind of turns it into her own way and integrates lessons of chemistry into her TV show. She winds up teaching a lot more to the housewives of America and also the husbands who wind up watching as well. I never actually read this book, but I remember it being very popular among my friends and on Book Talk, if that's an area of TikTok that you're on. But I just love Brie Larson, and I just think she's incredible. I love watching her in non-Marvel things. So I'm really excited for this one. And honestly, anything that Apple makes is usually just incredible. So yeah, this is my pick.
Sammy, knowing that you also love Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, do you like gravitate towards these types of like period series?
I don't know. I don't think I realized that until you said that, but there's definitely a trend. I think I do love period pieces. I think I love shows about strong women who don't take anything and kind of like forge their own way.
Did you watch, I don't know why this show, maybe it's just the time period, but did you watch Masters of Sex?
I never did.
You would really like that because, now I can't think of the actress's name.
It's Lizzie Kaplan, right?
Lizzie Kaplan and Sheen. Michael Sheen.
Yes.
Yes, is in that. And last week you mentioned Michael Sheen as part of Prodigal Son, that series as well. So I feel like Michael Sheen, Lizzie Kaplan, really like breaking barriers at that time period as a like strong woman in science. Like
there's a Venn diagram here.
There is 100%. I'm looking forward to this too. And recently just saw the book in a bookstore on the shelves, and I was like, this looks like a brand new, like recent book.
I was really shocked to hear that it has only been out for about a year and a half. They must have Apple scooped this one up quick.
Seriously, I also like Brie Larson. This looks good. I have a similar affinity for shows set in this time period, so I'm all in. Kwame, anything to add before I swoop in?
I mean, you guys covered all the points. I'm also a fan of Brie Larson, but only because of Scott Pilgrim versus the World and her short little, not necessarily a cameo, but she was in it a little bit. But the song she sings, the Metric song,
so good.
I wish that song was on Spotify, like that version of, because like that's the only version I identify with. Like the Metric version, I don't even listen to, but her version, it just gets me going every single time.
Yeah, she's awesome. I can't believe they don't have that version available.
I know I bought the soundtrack and it's still not even on the soundtrack. It's still the Metric version. I was so I'm a big Scott Pilgrim fan, and yeah.
Thank you, Kwam. Thank you, Sammy. And we will move on to the TV premiere I'm most looking forward to this week, and it is the beloved Adult Swim animated comedy series Rick and Morty, which returns for a 7th season this Sunday, October 15th at 11 p.m. Eastern. Let's take a look at the teaser.
Oh, they're finally asking us to do a promo.
Took them long enough.
Season 7 is gonna be like so epic. Morty might finally date Jessica.
Oh, maybe Jerry will get a job.
Anything's possible. Old friends like Gearhead might pop up.
Oh, wait, what if Rick catches Rick Prime or Evil Morty?
Or like I build a citadel of summers and forge a summer battalion to crumble the intergalactic patriarchy.
Can we just have a regular low-stakes sitcom season? I'd rather we just got food poisoning or something.
I'd so much rather be glued to the toilet than deal with our regular antics. Anyway, watch season 7.
You think we did okay?
It's a low bar.
Probably wondering, it seems a little odd to have a Rick and Morty teaser without Rick and Morty. Well, there's a reason for that. It's always a big deal when Rick and Morty drops new episodes, but the buzz around season 7 is very different thanks entirely to the ousting of series co-creator Justin Roiland, who was fired after being charged with domestic violence, charges that were later dropped. Roiland was not only the co-creator of Rick and Morty, but he was the literal voice of both Rick and Morty, as well as dozens of other characters across the multiverse, including very beloved characters. Roiland's firing raised tons of questions about the future of the show, primarily who, if anyone, would voice the titular characters. But in a recent interview, series producer Steve Levy suggested that a voice actor or actors had been hired to imitate the Rick and Morty voices we know and love. So Rick and Morty will be close to sounding the exact same way we've heard them in the past. I'm cautiously optimistic, but also curious if these new actors can or will be able to or will be empowered to recreate the same chaotic and often improvised rambling that Justin Roiland was specifically known for. And it's one of the elements that made these characters so popular to begin with. It's just sort of that train of thought that would happen as he was recording, and then that was animated into the show. It's also worth noting that Roiland was also fired from his Hulu animated series Solar Opposites, and the lead role of Corvo the alien was recast with former Downton Abbey star Dan Stevens, who does not do an imitation. He has a British voice now, and they simply explained the voice change as part of the storyline. But as far as Rick and Morty goes, I had read, as so many fans did, that Roiland himself was not largely included in writing episodes towards the end of his tenure, or for most of the show's run, as I understand. It was mostly co-creator Dan Harmon and a team of writers. So if you're worried about the writing being subpar, I think it's safe to say we'll still get the same quality. I'm going to be very interested to see these voices and how they hold up. I don't know if I'll be able to get out of my head. I'll be paying such close attention. It's like when a famous actor, now I'm just getting up on a soapbox. Okay, here we go. So I loved back in the day when Disney movies didn't hire famous stars, because you would hear a voice, and instead of hearing that actor, you'd totally associate it. Like Ariel is Ariel, Belle is Belle. These princes, these princesses, they are the characters they are, and the voice is synonymous with them. I think that changed somewhat with Pixar when they started hiring Tim Allen and Tom Hanks for Toy Story and some other large actors, big name actors for these roles. And granted, I totally got past Tim Allen and Tom Hanks. I think maybe it was because I was like mostly a kid still, so I just didn't think about it. But these days, you have like The Rock as Maui in Moana, and all I can hear is The Rock. Like I just can't disassociate the voice from the character. So I feel like my slightly OCD brain will not be able to stop thinking about the Rick and Morty voices, but that's my problem, not anybody else's. I'm going to stop rambling. Kwam, Sammy, thoughts?
Well, I agree that I do think it might be a bit of a challenge to disassociate, Justin's voice from the characters, but I'm always a believer in just quality, trumps everything. So if the show is good, if the writing is still good and whoever they got to replace Justin to voice Rick and Morty and all the other side characters that he voiced, if there's spot on, or like maybe they don't sound just like him, but they still are just really funny and make for great moments and just funny rambles, then I'm still in. I'm still in on it. I love Rick and Morty, and I was nervous, when I heard that he was dropping the show, because it's he played so many characters, and that is something that would derail a show. So I was excited when I heard it's coming back, and I'm too optimistic about the future of the show, and I'm just going to go in with rose-colored glasses and just believe in the writing and believe in the show Rick and Morty. And I love the trailer too. I mean, it still makes me chuckle. I think the show is gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a single episode of Rick and Morty, but the trailer did make me laugh, and I feel like this is not common, but there are eras of voice actors. Like I don't think the same SpongeBob voice actor was the same the whole time, maybe, or wait,
you can't just say that and then just not explain yourself.
Like Elmo, he was different through the years. Elmo was different. Kermit has had different voice actors throughout the years. So I feel like maybe this will just be like a new era of the voices.
It's a great point, especially the Kermit point. Like especially all those Muppets. That I think Tom Kenny always did SpongeBob.
I think you're right. I think I'm wrong with that one.
I was gonna say, I thought SpongeBob was like the one show where the voice actor was the same person.
Okay,
but the Muppet point is great. That's definitely something that's happened, and also like they recently did this on Family Guy too, when they changed the voice of Cleveland Brown because Cleveland is a black character who's voiced by a white actor, and they changed that to hire a black actor to do that voice, and I don't think about it at all. I thought I would, but I don't. And he does a pretty spot on recreation, and they did the same thing with Dr. Hibbert on The Simpsons, and I haven't thought about it. So I think maybe I think I'll think about it, but I won't eventually, because I don't listen to Kermit now and think that's not my Kermit. What? Walt Disney did the voice of Mickey Mouse originally, and original Mickey doesn't sound anything like Mickey today, but the Mickey today is the one that is synonymous with who we think of when we think of Mickey Mouse. Same with Goofy. Bill Farmer, I think he still does Goofy, but he'll eventually retire and someone will do it. And that'll be a new generation's Goofy. Anyway, I've rambled way too long, and we have so many more. Well, we have Quam, your pick? Yeah. Sorry for taking up so much time.
It's okay, because I was invested too in your thoughts. But my pick for this week is Goosebumps. Disney's remaking the classic horror novel series, and honestly, it looks like it's going to be a pretty good adaptation. So let's take a quick look at the teaser. So just from that quick look, it is looking like it's going to capture everything that I loved about the Goosebumps series. So it's like I said, it's an upcoming horror comedy series based on R.L. Stine's legendary book series. After accidentally releasing supernatural forces, 5 teenagers must find a way to work together to recapture them, also while discovering their parents' deep, dark secrets from their teenage years. I was honestly hoping this was going to be an anthology series, similar to how Goosebumps was. So like each episode would be a different story. That way it can keep things fresh and new. But like I said, this quick teaser sold me on it. And I'm just excited. I used to love the Goosebumps series. I used to love a lot of scary. Quick tangent. Okay, let me go off my own tangent.
Yeah.
Netflix, if you're watching this, Hulu, whoever, just please make it. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, that needs to be a show. That could totally be a show. It could be an anthology series like this one could have been, but please, someone make that. Anyway, yes, I used to love a lot of horror novels as a kid. I still love horror today. and I'm just super excited for this show. You can't tell. Yes, David, that is Justin Long. I know you asked about that, and yes, that is indeed Justin Long. And yeah, I have nothing more to say about this show other than I'm just super excited for it. I'm interested in hearing y'all thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this one is one that came out of nowhere. I didn't even hear that this was being made. I have every original Goosebumps book in a box that I've recently just dug up because, side tangent, I was recently at a like a local Philadelphia had like a Comic-Con type event. It's called I don't remember what it's called now, but there was an actor who not an actor. I am all over the place. I'm gonna slow down for a second. There was an artist at that event who created several covers for Goosebump books, and he was the artist who created Slappy, the dummy, who I think is who we see in this poster here. And I bought one of his sketches that he did of Slappy so that I could have it framed. And I was like, I think I have those books. What if I have my original book framed with this? So I went digging and found it. And I have every original book before they started doing spin-offs like Choose Your Own Ending, and Goosebumps 2000 was a spin-off, I think, of the series. But this is like, these books essentially got me to read. Like, I didn't read until I got Goosebump books. I would lay in bed at night and finish an entire Goosebump book, which, you know, now novels are like hundreds and hundreds of pages, but like back then, reading anything that was like more than like 20 pages was a real feat for a kid. And those books weren't maybe 100, 150 pages. I would finish a book in a whole night and just felt like I was king of the world, the smartest person in the universe, just finished a whole novel. But I loved them. Like, I really did. And I remember in school, they even started like they were banned in some schools for being too scary. And R.L. Stine had the spinoff that was Fear Street, which Netflix recently made a series off of, and or a series of movies. And Fear Street, if you were like, I don't read Goosebumps, I read Fear Street, you're like, oh man, this guy's a badass. Reads Fear Street. He can handle Fear Street. That's really scary. But I don't know. I stuck to Goosebumps.
Wow, I'm really exposing myself
Oh my gosh,
today.
Sammy, please don't.
I was such a scaredy cat as a kid, and I still am now. Like, I probably will not watch this series because it looks too scary for me, even though it's based off of a children's book series. But it was too scary for me as a kid. I couldn't even do the Harry Potters.
What?
Oh no!
Wow,
I had a lot of fears as a child. But I do love Justin Long, so maybe he'll be enough to get me in.
David, I'm interested in knowing, what was your favorite Goosebumps book?
Oh, so it's funny. I associate the books with their covers. So like sometimes I can't even remember the titles, but I do remember I enjoyed Say Cheese and Die was a classic. But there was also Monster Blood, I believe, was one. And there was like three of them. There was like Monster Blood 1, 2, or 3. There was one with a hamster who grew too big, and the cover was him like busting out of his cage. And there was one that was set in an amusement park that I really liked as well. And one where there was a shark coming up from under the water. It was like something the deep or whatever.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but what did you have a favorite?
I did have a favorite. I can't remember the name. I don't think it's Say Cheese and Die, because I do remember Say Cheese and Die. It was the one where this kid found a mirror and like the reflection was like an alternate version of him. Yes, and that one has creeped me out, because at the end of the, spoiler alert for everyone, no one who has read this book, or maybe it shows up in the show, but the kid gets trapped in the mirror because his alternate version is able to escape, and that just scared me from like looking into the mirror for the longest time, because I was like so terrified that my tethered version would come and take me away. But yeah,
they adapted that one in the old Fox Kids Goosebumps series, where they were like, because there was a Fox like Afternoons had a Goosebumps series where they
I remember that,
adapted episodes or books into episodes, and that was one of them. And almost this show, I have such a vivid memory of the person looking at their reflection in the mirror and getting trapped in there. Almost scarier than the book, honestly. Does some streaming network have the original Goosebumps series?
I don't know. That's something we should probably figure out.
We should. This is where I would say, Brad, Caitlin,
or Josh, one of y'all, please.
Josh, find out if some streamer has that series. Oh, we'll be deep into the next segment before we get to that. Fan Expo was the name of the Comic-Con here in Philly. I just had to say it because it was going to drive me crazy. That's great. Thank you, Quam. I'm very excited about this. Disney Plus and Hulu, which is a rarity for that crossover, so you can watch it on either. And you can check out all the TV shows we just discussed and so much more simply by saying what to watch into your Xfinity voice remote now.